Hi, Kupo, and welcome to the end of my video game year. And man, what a year. It was better than I was thinking it was going to be around this time last year. I truly think that this year is going to go down as one of the best years in gaming because we pretty much got amazing things across the board. And what is next year, 2024, going to bring? I don't think it is going to compare, but there's still a lot of things to be excited about. Like next year, the biggest games I cannot wait to get my hands on, of course, is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Frostpunk 2, and hopefully Silent Hill 2 Remake. Just looking back, I can't believe how fast this year went, and it was probably because I was playing video games. I was really looking forward to this video just because I just get to look back and just reminisce about how much of a great year it was in gaming. So without further ado, I present to you KupoCola's top 10 best video game list. And I also want to kind of throw it out there. I've played a lot of games besides these games that I'm talking about that either didn't come out this year or were more indie games. And I don't want to discredit any indie game, because there's a lot of great ones that I played this year, and I will kind of give them their own category. So I'm mainly going to be listing games that are longer than 5 minutes, or I played for 5 minutes, that were 5 hours long, or that I played them longer than 5 hours. That sounds more like it. So here we go. Dredge, the little game that went so far. I knew that I was going to like this game. It just seemed right up my alley, and then I wasn't really expecting it to be like a horror game, but when it became a horror game, it was terrifying. Most of this game was really calm, chill. Like I just wanted to be a fisherman, right? Just sail the seas, catch fish, find treasure. But then you encounter these weird people, and it just becomes weird. And then the fish you get are just so weird. I don't know if they're blighted fish, but very weird fish. And then the story that unravels was just so interesting. I couldn't wait to continue playing it. And it was just such a really good time. Like I said, I knew I was going to like it, but I didn't know I was going to like it as much as I did. And I would highly recommend this. I feel like because this is more of like a littler game, more indie game. I think this was the devs' debut game, which was awesome because I loved it. I would highly recommend if you want a nice, calm game, cozy game that could make you panic in an instant, I would highly recommend Dredge. Atomic Heart. I could not wait to get my hands on this when it was first announced, maybe last year or whenever, just because it was as if BioShock and Fallout had a baby, and it took place in Russia, and then it came out and I had a horrible time with it. It was buggy. It was practically broken. There was lots of things buttons and mechanics that would not work. The frame rate was just all over the place. And then I stopped playing it. So why do I have it in my hands, and why is it even on this list? It has everything that I love and would like. There's something wrong. So what did I do? I took a chance because it was on Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass. I took a chance and I bought it for the PS5. And you know what happened? None of that happened. It was awesome. It was so fun. It was fast paced. The shooting, the powers, the environment. Oh my gosh, this game is a beautiful game to look at. And oh my gosh, my favorite thing, this probably has my favorite soundtrack of the games on this list. I mean, just listen to this. I listen to this soundtrack on my free time. Out of all the games, I mean, there's a lot of soundtracks that I've added to my Spotify this whole year, but this was the one I've listened to the most. The story, the ending really threw me for a loop, and when the DLC came out, I just wanted to be in this world more. I needed more, and it didn't disappoint. This game is so good. I feel like this game was overlooked, and I feel like a lot of people heard kind of like the bad that I experienced at first, but I think this is a game that most people are gonna come back to maybe next year and just think, you know what, this game is great. Super Mario RPG. Wait a minute. Super Mario RPG. I mean, how can I have this? Of course this is going to be on my list. This was actually, for those who don't know, was my first RPG I've ever played in my life. I remember renting this from the video store, and the intro, like the opening of the game, scared me, and then the beginning of the game terrified me. So like when this was announced, I couldn't believe it. Like I thought it was just at least going to get ported to the Switch and not a full ground up remake, which I feel like that's what it is, even though this is like basically a one-for-one kind of a remake or a remaster. But they've added cutscenes, and they redid the music, quality of life changes. I think this game is great. I mean, it hits all the nostalgia buttons. It is a Mario game, but it's one that I don't think a lot of people have played. I feel like people will overlook it just thinking it's a Mario game, but it's so much different. There's lots of like humor that only like adults would get if they were like playing with their kids, and this is just an overall great time. I absolutely loved revisiting this. Lies of P. I could not wait to get my hands on this game just because I feel like I'm part of that group that just hopes for Bloodborne 2 or a remaster of some sort, a port to PS5. But you know what? This game hit all of the buttons. This game looks fantastic, sounds fantastic. It plays as if FromSoft made this game with their own two hands. This is probably the hardest game I've played, and even though as of this moment I have not beaten it, I've played it long enough, and I do plan on beating it. I love this game so much. It was one of those games where I was playing it and I knew it was going to make this list. This game is awesome. Like I said, it looks great, and the fact that it's like a Pinocchio story, and then the puppets and the whole aesthetic. I can keep going on and on about this game. This game is great. Super Mario Wonder. This game, I would probably say, is the most charming game that I've played in quite a while. I'm a big fan of, Mario games in general, but I favor the 2D ones overall just because I feel like they have more challenge to them than the 3D ones. And man, I would even to go and say that it would be the unofficial Super Mario World 3, and 2 being Yoshi's Island. This is hands down the best 2D Mario that they've made since Yoshi's Island. Every level just seemed so unique, especially with the Wonder Seeds and how it twisted the level to be something else. Whether it was like a light show, a musical, or just they gave you weird abilities. I'm like stumbling over my words. I had so much fun with this game. The amount of replayability, I love that they took away the collision to where I can't throw whoever I'm playing, or they don't jump on my head so they sacrifice me so they could live. But this game was just so charming. I loved every second of it. It also made me jealous of the kids where this is going to be their first Mario game they've ever played. I think the first one I played was like Mario World, right? And that blew our little kid minds. But this one, I'm just like, you guys are so lucky. But to be able to play this at the age I am now and just be so in awe of how far Mario has came, and this game is fantastic. I would not even say that this is just a Switch classic. I don't know if this is going to be the last big game for the original Nintendo Switch, but I would even go as far as saying that this is a Nintendo classic. Resident Evil 4. The big bad Resident Evil 4, the one that almost unanimously everyone says is the best Resident Evil 4. I could not wait to play this because me personally, Resident Evil 4 is not my favorite. It is probably the most classic, you could probably say. I would argue with you, just because it's just linear. But it is the one that I played with the most. I'm the most familiar with Resident Evil 4. And you know what? I love this game. This game is awesome. I think this is better than the original. It's not as linear, it's more open map, which I really liked. I'm a big fan of the original trilogy, to where it gives you a location and you could just explore around that location. RE4, it just feels like you just go straight and that's all you do. Whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to hit you guys there. But this one, you could explore the area. I felt like the little things that I really didn't care for or like in the story of the original one, I feel like this one told the story a lot better. And just the things that it added, I liked the parries, I liked just the knives in general. And I also want to say, just to I'll sprinkle a little bit of my opinion. For those who don't know, this game is nominated for Game of the Year. And although I think I would probably go as far as saying that I would have it on my top. I mean, this did make it to my personal list, but I do think it is deserving of that. There's a lot of talk saying that remakes don't deserve a spot on like something as high as that, as Game of the Year. I mean, even though this isn't a new story, I feel like this was built completely from the ground up. It would be different if this was like an HD like remaster. It's the same exact game, just to look pretty. A lot of work went into this to make it what it is. It is not exactly like it. I don't even know if that really matters, just because there's movie remakes. Just to sprinkle my opinion, this game is great. If you haven't played the original, you really don't have to, because I do think this is better. And I mean, it's Resident Evil. This year hit almost all of my favorite franchises. This is one that I definitely would go back to at any time. Alan Wake 2. I wish I had a physical copy of it, just because this game, oh my gosh, this game is so good. I remember when they announced this game, and just by the trailer kind of caught my interest, because for those who don't know, horror games is my favorite video game genre, just like period. And I've never even heard of Alan Wake when this was announced, but I knew I wanted to play it the second I saw it. I have yet not played the first one, but I jumped into this one and was able to follow it like no problem. But this game, I platinumed it. Like, if that says anything, this was also the scariest game I played this year. Just the things that were in this game, I feel like I've only played like in indie games, and to see them portray it or do it in a big title and a big budget game like this was just so cool to see. And it also made me really excited for the Silent Hill 2 remake. I feel like this, if PT were to come out, that Alan Wake 2 is the closest thing we could have gotten. I mean, the story, the sound, the music, this game terrified me. Like, when it scared me, it really scared me. I felt it like in my bones, to where this game really didn't depend too much on jump scares, but when they were, I jumped out of my seat, I jumped out of my skin, I practically threw the controller on the ground, and it got a hold on me to where I would just be playing it and expect something to happen, and I would make myself jump when when nothing happened. I love this game so much. This game is so good. I would highly recommend you play this. If you haven't played the first one, like I said, I jumped into this one and had no problem following along, but it was unexpected, the amount of love I have for this game. You need to play it like right now. Hogwarts Legacy. I mean, if you know me, it's not a surprise that this is even high on the list. This is the Hogwarts Wizarding World game of my dreams, of my young dreams, my adult dreams. I could create my character and just live out my Wizarding World dreams. It was so good. The story was really fascinating. It was really interesting. It was as if you were watching a really good show, to where you just couldn't wait to know what happened next, right? And then just the combat was so fun. It was so fluid. Just flying around on the broom, a hippogriff. It was just so magical. And then exploring like Hogwarts at night or during the day, or heck, freaking like early in the morning, late at night. It was such a beautiful game. And this was magical. It really was. I highly recommend this game, even if you're not like a fan of like the Wizarding World. It just being like an RPG and a really good one at that. I would highly recommend this game for anybody. Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, do I need to say anything really? Everyone knew that this game was going to be legendary. But considering that Breath of the Wild is considered probably one of like the greatest games of all time, I would imagine, and then this game to come out and make that one look like a beta is unbelievable. I would probably say main story wise, just first playthrough, I put the most time into this. I did every single shrine, I did every single light route, I explored to my heart's content until my fingers couldn't do it any longer. I did so much. I didn't do all the Korok seeds because I feel like that's overkill, but if you want to do that, feel free. But I loved exploring in this. I love that not only was like, because it was Hyrule, they made it a lot bigger, and then they changed it enough to where like it was worth exploring again, getting to know Hyrule again. The features of it weren't exactly the same as we left it, not only because of the upheaval, but because of just time had passed since we've last visited Hyrule. And speaking of that, we got to explore the depths, which were creepy. We got to explore the Sky Islands, which I loved exploring the Sky Islands. And then just the new mechanics of building or recalling or freaking ascend. I mean, I don't know how we could get any better than this. I really don't. This game, not to say Breath of the Wild, because I feel like this game is way better than Breath of the Wild. Not to take any credit from that, because I do kind of feel like that could be considered one of the greatest games of all time. But this one has a beat. So before we get to my number one, let's talk about the other games that I played that didn't make the cut. Octopath Traveler 2. I really enjoy this game. I have not beaten it. I think because I started playing it and I think something else came out and I put my attention towards that. But this game is really fun. I love the 3D pixel. It's just so like classic and almost nostalgic. And all these characters that I've encountered so far, I don't know how many hours I have into it, but it's definitely like over like 10. But I love all the characters. They're so friendly. I just want to be a part of their group. And so far, all the stories are just so interesting and how they intertwine and come together. I really can't wait to see how this one ends. But I really need to finish this. The Outlast Trials. Now, this game freaked me out when it first came out. I'm a big fan of the first one. The second one is good, but I still think the first one has a beat. So I wasn't really sure how they would put that in like a multiplayer game, but it was fun. I would say, because I really played like on my own, and as interesting as it was, I feel like it was mostly frustrating because I feel like I would get screwed over all the time. That stuff would happen that wouldn't be my fault. And as of now, I still think it's still in early access. So I don't know if I haven't played it in a while, actually. I don't know if they've ironed out really all of the bugs and glitches and whatnot, but there was a lot of things that would kind of screw me over, and it would kind of discourage me from continue playing at all. But when I did play, it was a good time. I do think the trials were a little lengthy. I feel like it could have been faster if I was with friends, but I had fun with this game while it lasted. Sons of the Forest. I was so excited for this game when it came out, or when it was announced, and I know it got pushed back a couple times, and then it finally came out in early access, which I would say this was probably the best looking early access game I've probably played, or that I could possibly think of. But there was still stuff wrong with it. I like how they upgraded like building to where you actually physically build stuff. It was a mess. I haven't played it like in a while. I know they've made so many big updates and patches and everything. I think I've tried to go back to it once, but oh my gosh, I don't have the strongest PC in the world, but man, this thing was chug-a-lugging, let me tell you. It took probably 10 minutes for me to get in game, and by the time I did, I was just like, I don't really want to play this anymore. Especially from the last time I played it, I got pretty close to beating it. I don't know how many hours I put into it, but I got pretty close. But then an update came out to where they changed the ending or the location of the ending or something like that, to where I'm like, now I have to start over basically. But I enjoy it for what it was, but I think I'll wait a little bit longer, or maybe until the full release comes out, to probably get back into it. The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, that's a real game that came out this year. I think it came out on like April Fools, and everyone thought it was a big joke, but it wasn't. And when I found out that it wasn't, I'm just like, how can I not play that? And you're probably wondering, hey, it's on your list. You said you're not bringing up games that are 5 hours long. Yeah, this game was too long. This game was too long. I think this took me a little over 5 hours to beat. Did I have a good time with it? Yeah, but then as it went on, the more I just wished for it to stop. Mortal Kombat 1. For those who don't know, Mortal Kombat is my favorite fighting franchise of all time. I'm not big on fighting games like in general. Whenever a Mortal Kombat game comes out, I gotta buy it. I gotta play it. I love Mortal Kombat. I will say this game has the most interesting story since MK9. It was really cool. I really liked how they really rebooted the series. All of these characters that I've known and loved for who knows how long, I was able to be reintroduced to them. They had new backstories. Freaking Sub-Zero and Scorpion were now brothers. It was cool getting to know them and see them interact with other characters and have a different attitude towards others. It was really cool. I liked how it turned out. I think this was a 12-hour story, right? Just really sitting back, watch a movie, and then fight every now and then. My Friendly Neighborhood. I was really excited for this game. And it turned out to be a good time. Basically, what Resident Evil, but with Muppets. My voice cracked. What is it? I would recommend this game. It's silly. It's goofy. Did it really scare me? Not really. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I was not expecting much of this game. I played it. I enjoyed it. But then I feel like every game felt exactly the same, to where I was dying immediately, or I would escape almost immediately, or it just felt very repetitive. And then even as like being the family, I would either get rolled and not see a survivor or a victim in sight, or we would just mow them down. And I got tired of it really, really fast. Diablo 4. This is the first Diablo game I've ever played, and you know what? It was a really good time. I really enjoyed it. I don't know how many hours I put into it. I do know I haven't finished the story just because I think I have like 3 characters, and I was just kind of going back and forth. And then I stopped playing it because Tears of the Kingdom. I feel like soon after I beat Tears of the Kingdom, I went back and played it again, and then just the combat just felt very repetitive. But originally I felt like the combat was very addictive, and you could get lost and just forget that time exists and just explore dungeon and get power up and level up. It was a good time, but I just felt like other games came out just really ruined my experience with it. Starfield. I could not wait for this game. I mean, this look, I'm holding it in my hands. This should tell you on how excited I was. And you know what? I was loving the heck out of it. This game was so much fun. The exploration, the abilities, the weapons, the space. I am a sucker for sci-fi. I love anything space. But then I continued to play it, and then I started wondering why. I'm a big fan of Bethesda games. I mean, like Fallout is one of my favorite franchises of all time, and this was their first new IP in I don't know how long, and it didn't seem like they really grew. Once I started to have that feeling of, you know what, like I think don't really want to play this game anymore, the more I did, the more I really started to feel all of the loading. There was really no exploring, because every time you wanted to go somewhere, loading screen. You want to go to that moon? Loading screen. You want to go to that planet? Loading screen. You want to leave the building? Loading screen. So many loading screens. And then that just made my experience just plummet. I probably will finish this game. I think I have like 70 some hours into this, and I haven't beaten it yet, but I feel like if I do, I'm just gonna want to finish it. Unfortunately, this has everything I would love, but I do not think that it was done well at all. Well, that just about wraps it up on my top 2023 gaming list. But before I go into number one, I'm just gonna stall for a little bit longer. When it comes to my favorite indie game of the year, I think that definitely goes to Amanda the Adventurer. Very weird, very spooky, something very familiar about it. And it was just a great time. I think a sequel got announced. I really cannot wait for that. Enough with the stalling. My number one should not be a surprise. If it is a surprise, you don't know me, you don't know my channel, you don't even know my name, because my number one favorite game of 2023 goes to Final Fantasy 16. What a shocker. I love this game so much. It is fantastic. It was worth the wait. I've never been excited for a game this much in my life. I've been a Final Fantasy fan for probably since 2016, and well, no, whenever Final Fantasy 15 came out, a year later, add a year. You do the math. I ain't doing it right now, but this is the first numbered entry to come out since I've been a fan. I went to the events, I did everything for this game, and it came out. This is such a beautiful game. The music is just so moving. It's so emotional. Final Fantasy has probably one of the most beautiful music in all of gaming. The characters, I love the characters so much. Clive Rossfield is probably going to be one of the most iconic Final Fantasy characters. Jill, Joshua, I mean, the list could go on. I love these characters. And this game being really the first like dark Final Fantasy. There's a lot of dark moments in Final Fantasy across the board, which is one of the reasons why I like the series so much. But that rated M rating, and to push it that far with the violence, the language, the topics on this, it made it feel so much better. It really felt like it wasn't just having that just to have that rating. It really felt like this game really told the story it wanted to tell. I mean, and then the boss fights, the most epic things I've ever played in a game. The story was just so good. And of course, it goes without saying, I platinumed this. That's not even a word. I platinumed it. End of story. Fantastic. And then what? I'm gonna kind of rant for a second, a little bit. This game did not make it to didn't get nominated for Game of the Year. Why? Mario Wonder, great game, fantastic. You should play it. Does it need to be there? No, put this in there. This game deserves it. It's just crazy business. I love this game so much. I mean, there's nothing really I could say about it that I haven't really said now or what I've said before. I mean, this game, I love this game so much. You guys need to play it. The combat in it is probably the furthest to what a Final Fantasy game is, I guess. I mean, it's called Final Fantasy. We aren't the judge of what Final Fantasy is. It's the people that made it, right? They determine what Final Fantasy is, and you know what? It's fantastic. It is a fantastic Final Fantasy game. It is probably, like, comparing it to 15, 15, I would say is definitely more of an RPG than this. I wouldn't even call this an RPG, but does it need to? Not in my opinion. But this is more of a Final Fantasy game than 15 is. And I mean, I love it so much. I really feel like you need to play this game, whether you like action adventure games. Oh my gosh, the combat, the combos, the everything about like the fighting was so beautiful. Everything was done with so much love, and I mean, I can't wait for this game to like go on PC so more people could be introduced to Final Fantasy, because I'm sure it being an action game caught more people that wouldn't play RPGs. But I love this game so much. I cannot say that enough. I believe I put this on 3 on my top Final Fantasy game list. I do think come the future, people are going to look back at this game and think how important this game is in the series, as much as Final Fantasy 7, 6, 10. I feel like what this game did for the first time, or even what this game even has to offer as a game in general, is one that I feel like is gonna, like I said, come back, and we're gonna talk about it, and people are gonna realize, you know, whoa, this actually was amazing. There you have it, my 2023 top video games. And you know what, this was so much fun. Like I said, I look forward to this video every year, because we just get to go back and reminisce, and I just kind of put my thoughts out there, and I just like talking with you guys, in all honesty. But man, I really enjoyed this year in gaming. Like I said, we got a lot of titles from huge franchises, and then we got a lot of great games from smaller people, which I give you guys all my credit, and you guys are amazing. But now this is the past. From now on, come years to come, we're gonna be getting notifications that Tears of the Kingdom came out 5 years ago today. Final Fantasy 16 came out 10 years ago today. It's so crazy, and the fact that I got to be a part of gaming history is so amazing. I cannot wait for the future to come, and I want to know your guys' list. I want you guys to drop your top 10 list, your favorite games, your least favorite games. I want to talk about it. I want to know. I want us to share our 2023 gaming memories. And like I said, I really can't wait for what the future has to offer. But only time will tell. We will know sooner than we even realize it. So with that, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so thankful for you guys to be here. I can't express it enough. I want you guys to tell your friends to get them in here. Tell them to like and subscribe. I want you guys to watch more KupoCola videos. Join the Discord if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time. KupoCola signing off.